Her friends laughed at me at a Halloween party that idiot doesn't know he is just a replacement. So I waited until 1 week before her real boyfriend came back and ended it first. I am Jaden, 27M, software engineer in Portland, been with Sierra, 25F, for 6 months now. She is a graphic designer, really creative, and I thought we had something special. I have always been the type to go all in when I care about someone, picking up dinner tabs, planning weekend trips, remembering the little things she mentions wanting. Sierra and I met through mutual friends at a brewery last spring. She was funny, smart, had this energy that just drew me in. We started hanging out more, and by summer we were officially together. Everything seemed great, though looking back, there were signs I ignored. She would get these mysterious calls she would take in another room. Always said it was work stuff or her friend Cameron from college. She mentioned Cameron a lot, actually. They had been close friends since sophomore year, but he moved to Seattle for some tech job about a year ago. She always insisted they were just friends when I asked, so I didn't push it. The thing that should have been a red flag was how she never really integrated me into her friend group. Madison, Qley, and Tessa were her core friends from art school. They were always polite when I was around, but there was this coldness, like they were tolerating me rather than welcoming me. Sierra would brush it off, saying they took time to warm up to new people. Fast forward to last weekend. Madison was throwing this big Halloween party at her place. Sierra wanted to do a couple's costume. She suggested Batman and Catwoman. I went along with it, spent way too much on a decent Batman costume because I wanted to make a good impression on her friends. The party was packed, maybe 50 people crammed into Madison's townhouse. I was trying my best to fit in, making small talk with people I barely knew. Sierra seemed to be having a great time, flitting between groups, laughing and catching up with everyone. About 2 hours in, I offered to grab us fresh drinks from the kitchen. The house was loud, music pumping, people everywhere. I made my way through the crowd toward the back of the house where the kitchen was. That is when I heard them. Madison, Qley, and Tessa were in the dining room just off the kitchen, voices carrying over the music. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop initially, but then I heard Sierra's name and froze. I still cannot believe Sierra's stringing that poor guy along like this. Madison was saying drink in hand. Clearly a few in already. Qley laughed. That mean laugh I had heard directed at other people before. That idiot doesn't even know he is just a replacement until Cameron gets back. My stomach lurched. I stood there holding 2 empty cups, suddenly feeling like the room was spinning. When does Cameron come back again? Tessa asked, like she was asking about the weather. 2 months, Madison replied. Sierra literally has a countdown on her phone. She showed me last week, 58 days until her real boyfriend comes home. The girls erupted in giggles. Qley wiped tears from her eyes. Poor Jaden probably thinks she actually loves him. She told me he is perfect boyfriend material, just not the boyfriend. The best part is he pays for everything while she waits for her actual man, Tessa added. Like, she is not even pretending to split bills with him. I wanted to move, to walk away, to do anything. But my legs felt frozen. This couldn't be real. This had to be some cruel joke or misunderstanding. But then Madison kept talking. Cameron called her last night. You should have seen her face, giggling like a schoolgirl, taking the call in her bedroom. She has been saving herself emotionally for him this whole time. God. And Jaden just keeps trying so hard with us, Qley said mockingly, bringing flowers, asking about our jobs, planning those group dinners. It is almost sad how much effort he puts in. Almost, Tessa agreed, and they all started laughing again. I finally managed to move, backing away from the doorway before they saw me. My hands were shaking as I filled the cups with whatever was in the nearest pitcher. Beer, punch, I couldn't even tell. Walking back to Sierra, everything suddenly made sense. The way she never quite said I love you back when I told her I loved her. How she had changed the subject when I brought up future plans. The phone calls she took privately. Her friends barely concealed contempt for me. I found Sierra by the stairs, talking animated with some guy dressed as a vampire. When she saw me, her face lit up with that smile I had fallen for months ago. There you are. I was just telling David about that trip we took to the coast, she said, taking her drink from me. I managed to smile and nod at David, but inside I felt hollowed out. For the rest of the party, I watched her differently. Every laugh, Every gesture, every moment of what I had thought was genuine affection, all of it felt performative now. The worst part was how good she was at it. If I hadn't overheard her friends, I never would have known. She held my hand, leaned against me during conversations, played the part of the devoted girlfriend perfectly. We left around midnight. In the Uber back to her place, she chattered about the party, about how David was her old studio partner, about how Madison's costume looked amazing. I made the right noises, but I felt like I was watching my life from outside my body. She invited me to stay over like usual, and I almost said no, but I needed time to process this, to figure out what I was going to do. So I said yes, and spent the longest night of my relationship lying next to someone who was counting down the days until she could discard me. That was 4 days ago. I haven't said anything yet. Haven't let on that I know. I have been going through the motions. Good morning texts, lunch plans, normal couple stuff. But every interaction feels different now. I keep replaying her friend's words in my head. Perfect boyfriend material. Just not the boyfriend. He pays for everything while she waits for her actual man. The casual cruelty of their laughter. Blake, my best friend since college, noticed something was off when we grabbed beers yesterday. I told him everything. He was furious. Wanted to drive over and confront Sierra immediately, but I asked him to hold off. I need to handle this right. Part of me wants to confront her, but I know what I heard was the truth. Her friends had no reason to lie to each other. The timeline is clear. Cameron left a year ago. Sierra's counting down to his return in 2 months. We started dating 6 months ago, right in the middle. Blake thinks I should end it immediately, but I want to understand what she has been planning first. I genuinely cared about her. Finding out I was just a placeholder has messed with my head more than expected. The hardest part is pretending everything's normal. She texted about checking out a new restaurant this weekend. I used to get excited about stuff like that. Now I just stared at it for 10 minutes before responding, maybe. Has anyone else been through something like this? When someone you trusted turned out to be playing a completely different game. I will not be sticking around to be discarded when Cameron comes back. But first, I need to figure out exactly how I want to handle this. Update 1, sorry for the delay guys, had to work late all week dealing with a system crash at the office and barely had time to think, let alone post. I have been living in this weird alternate reality for the past week since finding out the truth. Like being in some psychological thriller where you know the person next to you is planning something, but you have to act normal. I took your advice about paying attention to her behavior, and holy shit. You guys were right. Once you know what to look for, it is impossible to unsee. Monday night, Sierra suggested cooking dinner at her place. While I prepped vegetables, her phone rang. Her whole demeanor changed, this little smile straightening up. She claimed it was work and disappeared into her bedroom for 25 minutes, coming back practically glowing. I asked about work. She said client stuff for the Morrison project, but I could see the lie in how she looked away. There is no Morrison project. Sierra freelances for small businesses, and I have never seen her take work calls at 8 p.m. Tuesday at lunch. I watched her check her phone obsessively. Every buzz brought expectant looks, then excitement or disappointment. When I commented, she claimed group chat with the girls, but I saw her typing in a regular thread. The contact name started with C before she tilted away. Thursday night was the kicker. We were watching Netflix when she got a call and stepped onto my balcony. Through the sliding door, I watched her pace, run her hand through her hair, laugh silently. For 40 minutes, more animated than I had ever seen her with me. When she came back, I asked who it was. She said Madison was having roommate drama. I know Madison. I have heard Sierra talk to Madison. That wasn't roommate drama. That was someone who made her nervous in the best way. Someone she wanted to impress. Friday night at dinner with Blake and Emma, Sierra was distracted all day. When her phone buzzed at the restaurant, her face went white. She excused herself and paced outside for 15 minutes, starting frantic, then ending with a huge smile she tried to hide. She came back with some story about her mom's car trouble in Phoenix, but it was 11 p.m. there, and the smile didn't match the story at all. Saturday morning, everything clicked. Over coffee, Sierra casually mentioned Cameron might visit Portland soon for his company's office scouting. When I asked when, she wasn't meeting my eyes. She said it would be nice to see him after about a year, right when we started dating. I said that sounded cool, trying to sound supportive. She looked at me sharply, prepared for jealousy or questions. My casual acceptance seemed to unsettle her more than suspicion would have. That is when I knew I had to take control instead of waiting for the inevitable end. Blake pushed for immediate confrontation when we talked Sunday, but I wanted to understand the full scope of her plan. Would she actually dump me when Cameron returned? Did she have an exit strategy? Sunday brunch with her friends was surreal. They were perfectly pleasant, but I could see it now. The exchanged glances, the slight smirks, how they steered away from future topics. When Madison asked about a gallery opening next month, Tessa started to say something, caught herself, and Sierra shot her a warning look. After brunch, Sierra seemed anxious, worried her friends were acting weird and might blow her cover. The irony was perfect. That night, as I was falling asleep, Sierra scrolled through old photos on her phone. I could see her face in the screen's glow, nostalgic, wistful, longing, the expression of someone looking at a life they wanted to get back to. For the first time since Halloween, I felt genuinely sad instead of angry. Despite everything, part of me had hoped I was wrong. But looking at her face, I knew whatever we had was never real for her. I was just a placeholder until her real life could resume. Update 2: Wi-Fi was down all weekend at my apartment complex, some construction issue. Finally got back online tonight, so I did it. I called Cameron's company Tuesday, pretending to be a client interested in meeting about a Portland project. After 3 transfers and creative lying, I reached his assistant, who told me he would be in Portland the 15th of November through 18th for site evaluation meetings. 2 weeks away. Exactly. Sierra's countdown was accurate. That night I started planning. Blake thought I was overthinking it, but something about her friends laughing and calling me an idiot made me want to do this perfectly. I spent the rest of the week acting completely normal, maybe even better than normal. Honestly, I brought Sierra flowers on Wednesday for no reason, planned a nice dinner on Friday, was the devoted boyfriend she expected me to be. Thursday night, she got another one of her work calls that lasted over an hour. When she came back to the couch, she was practically vibrating with excitement. "Good news from the client?" I asked. "Yeah. The Morrison project got approved," she said, then caught herself. "I mean, a different Morrison project. Not the one I mentioned before." She was getting sloppy with her lies, probably because she was distracted by whatever Cameron had told her about his trip. Friday's dinner went perfectly. I took her to Canard, this French place she had been wanting to try for months. Expensive as hell, but I figured it would be my last time paying for everything. So why not go out with style? She was more affectionate than she had been in weeks, holding my hand across the table, laughing at all my jokes, really present in a way she hadn't been since Halloween. I realized this was probably guilt behavior. She knew she was about to hurt me, so she was overcompensating. "This is really nice," she said over dessert. "We should do this more often." "Definitely," I agreed, knowing we never would. Saturday night was the hardest part. She stayed over at my place, and we had what I knew would be our last normal evening together. We cooked dinner, watched a movie, talked about random stuff. For a few hours I almost forgot what I had learned about her. But then her phone buzzed around 10 p.m., and I watched her face light up as she read whatever message had come through. "Madison wants to know if we want to join them for drinks downtown," she said. I knew that wasn't what the message said. "I am pretty beat. Maybe another time?" "Sure, no problem." She texted back quickly, then set the phone aside and curled up next to me again, but I could feel her restlessness. Whatever that message actually said, it had energized her. And now she was stuck on my couch pretending to watch Netflix instead of responding properly. Sunday morning, I made us breakfast and told her I had something planned for us this week. "Wednesday night," I said. "Dress nice. I want to take you somewhere special." Her face flickered just for a second with what looked like annoyance. Wednesday was the 13th of November, 2 days before Cameron arrived. "Wednesday?" she asked. "That is kind of short notice. Do you have other plans?" "No. No, Wednesday's fine." "Where are we going?" "It is a surprise." She smiled and agreed, but I could tell she was calculating something in her head, probably trying to figure out how to handle her boyfriend taking her on a surprise date 2 days before her ex-boyfriend came back to town. Monday and Tuesday crawled by. I was nervous, which surprised me. I had been angry for so long that I had forgotten I could still feel hurt. But as Wednesday approached, the hurt was definitely winning. Blake met me for lunch Tuesday and could see I was struggling. "You don't have to do this, man," he said. You could just ghost her. She deserves it. I need to do this face to face, I told him. I need to see her reaction when she realizes I know. And if she tries to deny it, she will not. I am going to make it clear I hurt her friends at Halloween. Wednesday evening, I picked Sierra up at 7. She had dressed up like I asked. Black dress, heels, the works. She looked beautiful. And for a moment, I felt that old flutter of attraction before remembering why we were really there. I had made reservations at Le Pigeon, probably the most expensive restaurant in Portland. The kind of place you go for anniversaries or special occasions. Sierra seemed excited but also confused. "What is the occasion?" she asked as we were seated. "I will tell you over dinner." We ordered wine, appetizers, the full experience. I let conversation flow naturally, asked about her work, told stories about my week. She was relaxed, happy, probably thinking this was just her sweet boyfriend being romantic. It wasn't until our main courses arrived that I shifted gears. "Sierra, I have been thinking about us lately," I said. Immediately, her posture changed. She set down her fork and gave me her full attention, but there was wariness in her eyes now. "Oh, what about us? About what we both want? Long term?" She was quiet for a long moment, clearly trying to figure out where this was heading. "What do you think we want?" she asked carefully. "Well, that is what I have been thinking about. I think you deserve to be with someone you are truly in love with. Someone who makes you light up when they call. Someone you cannot wait to see." Her face went very still. "Jaden, what are you saying?" "And I deserve someone who doesn't see me as a placeholder. Someone who doesn't have a countdown timer on their phone waiting for their real relationship to begin." The color drained from her face. For a few seconds, she just stared at me. "I don't know what you are talking about," she said finally, but her voice was shaky. "The 27th of October, Halloween party at Madison's. You were in the dining room with your friends talking about how I was just keeping your bed warm until Cameron came back." Recognition hit her like a physical blow. She actually flinched. "Jaden, I can explain. They called me an idiot who didn't know I was just a replacement. They laughed about how I paid for everything while you waited for your real man to come home." She was crying now, quiet tears that she was trying to hide from the other diners. "Please let me explain," she whispered. "It is not what you think. Cameron gets back to Portland on Friday, doesn't he? For his company's site evaluation." The last bit of color left her face. She knew then that I hadn't just overheard one conversation. I had been investigating, putting pieces together. "How did you?" "I called his company, pretended to be a potential client." She stared at me for a long moment, then looked down at her hands. "I do care about you," she said quietly. "I know how this looks, but I do care about you. Just not enough to choose me." She didn't answer, which was an answer. "I am going to pay for dinner and leave," I said. "Take your time finishing. The reservation's under my name if you want dessert." I stood up and put $300 on the table, way more than enough to cover everything and a generous tip. "Jaden, please don't do this," she said, reaching for my hand. "Give Cameron my regards," I said, gently pulling away. "I hope it works out the way you planned." I walked out of the restaurant and drove home, expecting to feel triumphant or vindicated. Instead, I just felt empty. My phone started ringing about an hour later. Sierra, then Madison, then Sierra again. I didn't answer any of the calls. The text started around midnight. Sierra begging me to call her back, insisting she could explain everything. She kept saying I didn't understand the whole situation with Cameron, that she never meant to hurt me. Madison jumped in too, telling me Sierra was really upset and that this wasn't what I thought it was. I turned off my phone and went to bed. Thursday, the calls and texts continued, but I ignored all of them. Blake came over after work and found me just sitting on my couch staring at nothing. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Like I just broke up with someone I never actually dated," I said. That night, I made myself go out with Blake and some other friends. We went to a sports bar, watched the game, acted like normal guys having a normal night out, but I kept checking my phone, wondering if Sierra was with Cameron yet. If she was telling him about the crazy boyfriend who had figured out her plan. Friday morning, the day Cameron was supposed to arrive, I finally turned my phone back on. 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. But the most recent texts were different. Sierra telling me Cameron didn't want to get back together, that he was seeing someone in Seattle. She said she had made a huge mistake and begged me to give her a chance to explain. She kept insisting she knew she didn't deserve it, but asking me to please talk to her. I almost laughed. Her backup plan had fallen through, and now she was trying to come back to the backup's backup. I didn't respond. Saturday evening, Madison showed up at my apartment building. The doorman called up, and against my better judgment, I told him to let her up. She knocked on my door looking like she would rather be anywhere else. "She is a mess," Madison said without preamble when I opened the door. "Okay, she really did care about you. She has been in love with Cameron since college, and when he left, she was devastated. You were supposed to be a rebound that turned into something more complicated, but never more important." Madison looked uncomfortable. "No, probably not. Then we don't have anything to talk about. She wants to try again. She says she realizes now what she lost. She didn't lose anything," I said. "She never had it to begin with." I closed the door and went back to my couch. Sunday, Blake dragged me out hiking. We didn't talk much about Sierra, but as we were driving back, he asked the question I had been avoiding. "Do you miss her?" "I miss who I thought she was," I said. "That is not the same thing." "No, it is not." That night, I finally blocked Sierra's number and deleted her from social media. I was done being her backup plan. But here is the thing that has been eating at me all week. I keep wondering if I was too harsh. If there was something real between us that got tangled up in her feelings for Cameron. If maybe she really could have chosen me, given more time. Then I remember her friends laughing, calling me an idiot, and I know I made the right choice. Still working on forgiving myself for taking so long to see it. Final update: car trouble stranded me at my parents' place all weekend. Finally got back to Portland Monday night. It has been 3 weeks since the restaurant, and I wanted to give you guys an update because this got more complicated than I expected. Sierra tried everything afterward, showing up at my office, sending flowers, having friends call me. I ignored all of it. The breakthrough came when Blake ran into Tessa at a coffee shop. Tessa, feeling guilty, told him the full story. Sierra and Cameron dated all through college, planned to move in together after graduation. He got a job offer in Seattle, asked her to come. She said no because her family was in Portland. They tried long distance for 2 months before he broke it off. Sierra was devastated for months. That is when she started dating other people, trying to fill the void. Enter me, 6 months ago. "But here is what really gets me," Tessa said. "Sierra never planned to use me as a placeholder. It evolved that way. Around month 3, Sierra started talking to Cameron again as friends. When he mentioned possibly transferring back to Portland, she got caught up in fantasies of reconciling. The countdown timer wasn't malicious planning. It was wishful thinking. Her friends' cruel comments at Halloween were frustration with Sierra for stringing me along when they knew she wasn't emotionally available. Doesn't make their laughter hurt less, but at least I understand. It wasn't casual cruelty. Cameron's Portland visit went exactly as expected. He told Sierra he had moved on, been dating someone in Seattle for 8 months. Sierra called me that night, crying, asking to meet. I said no. She tried for a week with voicemails about realizing I was what she really wanted. Classic don't know what you have got till it is gone stuff. Blake thought I should give her another chance. People make mistakes, he said. But Emma, Blake's girlfriend, shut that down. If someone treats you like an option while waiting for their first choice, believe them when they show you how they value you. Emma was right. 2 weeks ago, I started dating Riley, a teacher I met at my cousin's kid's birthday party. The difference is night and day. Riley texts back immediately, makes future plans, including me, introduced me to her friends without hesitation. It is what being someone's first choice feels like. Last Friday, Sierra showed up at the brewery where Riley and I were on our 3rd date. She sat at the bar, clearly waiting for me to notice. Riley saw her too. "Ex-girlfriend?" Riley asked calmly. "She is pretty, looks miserable though." Riley wasn't jealous, just observant. After 20 minutes, Sierra left. "That must have been hard for her, seeing you happy with someone else," Riley said later. "Probably good. She should see what she gave up." That is when I knew Riley was a keeper. Later, Riley asked if I still had feelings for Sierra. I thought honestly before answering. I have feelings about what happened, but feelings for her? No. I fell in love with the version of Sierra that existed only when she was with me. The real Sierra was in love with someone else the whole time. It is hard to love someone who was never fully present, Riley said. Yesterday, I found an old photo of Sierra and me from September. We looked genuinely happy for a moment. I felt that familiar pang of loss, but then I thought about Riley, who gives me her full attention, who talks about future plans, like I am obviously part of them, who doesn't have secret countdowns on her phone. I threw the photo away. This experience taught me that sometimes eavesdropping saves your life, even when it breaks your heart. If I hadn't overheard her friends at Halloween, I might have stuck around for months longer, getting more invested in someone who was never invested in me.